Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Talking City podcast with myself, Alex James, and City writer Tyrone Marshall. We will dive into the weekend's action and a look ahead to the Champions League returning on Wednesday. But first, just a quick word from our sponsors, which I still haven't memorised, despite reading this sentence out once a week for the last however many weeks. But to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/Talking City. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the podcast episode description box. There we go. Still no auto cue. That's what we need, really, isn't it?
Yeah, we could do with an auto cue. Yeah.
Somebody to do all the work for us, and we can just read out the sentences.
Yeah. One step at a time.
Are you well?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm all right, thank you. Bit drained after the emotional rollercoaster of the golf on Sunday night.
Yeah, I can imagine Pep is as well. We know he loves his golf.
That's true,
and the Ryder
actually,
Cup, so I'm sure he was tuning in late. Yeah, it got a bit dramatic, didn't it?
Unnecessarily dramatic, really. Well, not unnecessarily, but unexpectedly
dramatic. Yeah. Even at the start, you thought this is going to be an annihilation when they were up in a lot of games, and it did get very, very tense, didn't it? But great. I mean, it's great sporting TV, isn't it? And great Sunday night entertainment. So.
Yeah. Perfect time as well, I thought, given obviously time zones.
It's always good when it's America and when it's on the East Coast as well.
Yeah.
And like somewhere like New York, it is a good time to go and get a few beers in and crack them open and watch 7 hours of golf, which I may or may not have done last night.
I'm sure Pep was watching. That was a good segue. I was going to do a bit of blue on the board at the Ryder Cup and some blue on the board for Man City at the weekend, but I feel like your Pep interest one has trumped that. Trump as well.
No. Oh, yeah, good. Yeah.
Has trumped that one. But obviously City comfortable in the end. Made to work a little bit harder than perhaps first thought at the weekend, but another win, another step in the right direction, another couple of decent performances from sort of players who are, I was going to say turning their seasons around, but started the seasons well in the likes of Jeremy Doku.
Yeah. I mean, it was a funny game, wasn't it? It didn't feel like a 5-1 game, and it probably wasn't a 5-1 game, I guess, in truth. And at 1-1 in the first 10 minutes or so of the second half, you did think like this is getting unexpectedly uncomfortable. And Burnley were really in the game at that point. They had a couple of chances at the start of the second half. City just seemed really flat. The energy in the crowd seemed flat, and you thought this is not where everyone thought it was going to go. And then suddenly 2 quick goals, 2-1, 3-1, and then the 2 icing on the cake at the end, and City win 5-1, and it's what was everyone worried about. And it was probably still too early in the game for people to truly be worried, but don't know, there did seem just a bit of an edge there. And it was interesting that in that kind of spell at the start of the second half at 1-1, Kolo Touré and Pep Lijnders were in the technical area with Pep most of the time. Touré was trying to G things up. Lijnders celebrated the second and third goals, the third one especially really enthusiastically. And like Pep proper bear hugged him after the third. So I wondered if there was something that Lijnders had suggested, maybe get the ball to Núñez perhaps to try and that
had paid off,
change the game. That paid off. But it did seem noticeable that coach and staff were all there trying to G him up, because there was a spell where it felt a bit flat and you thought this could turn into a slog, but in the end it was very routine, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's something like 10 defeats in a row for Burnley at City by an aggregate of 43-3 or something now. So Burnley conceding 5 at the Etihad has become routine, even if they found perhaps a new way of doing it by shipping 2 in the last couple of minutes. But 2 more goals for Erling Haaland, another really good display from Jeremy Doku, and another encouraging one from Nico O'Reilly as well, who will perhaps come onto his contract in a minute. But he sort of just turned himself into a left back, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has. And we spoke to him in the mix zone on Saturday, and he said he basically gets a free role at left back. I mean, there can't be many clubs that play left back and have a free role, but you see what he means, because he pops up in central positions and in the penalty area quite a bit. But yeah, he really has. He looks a really good left back, doesn't he? And I asked him how. I mean, you make playing left back look easy, and also how much training did you do in it? And he basically said, like, before the Salford game last year, like none, didn't do any. And now he really does look at home in there. And there's interesting stats which Pep has touched on about his record. And I think 20 starts for City now, I think it is, 2 defeats, one of which was that Tottenham game in the Carabao Cup last year, which kind of feel is irrelevant given all the changes and all the kids that played in that one. And then the only other one's the FA Cup final, 9 Premier League starts, unbeaten, and don't know, maybe there's just something in it that he's one of those players that makes other players look better, doesn't he? And it's interesting that since he came in the team, Doku's gone up another level. Since, City's record without Nori was 2 defeats and a win. Since O'Reilly's come in, they're 5 unbeaten. Not putting it all on swapping those two, but there's got to be something in it, and maybe there's something in the fact that Doku's form has gone up as well with O'Reilly there.
Do you see a way that Nori doesn't get back in? Especially, you sign a specialist left back and then carry on playing O'Reilly there. Seems unlikely.
I think it's unlikely. I mean, there's enough games, I guess, to rotate them both. And obviously O'Reilly's going to get the 2 this week because I know he's not going to be back. I think they're expecting him back against Everton after the international break. I still think Aït-Nouri probably gets in, but he's obviously still finding his feet there. And O'Reilly does just seem to go from strength to strength, doesn't it? You kind of wondered what would become of him this season, and obviously linked to a few other clubs, but just finds a way to get back in the team. He's come on in midfield a couple of games and really does just seem to take it all in his stride.
I wonder if there's an argument, this probably won't happen, or probably shouldn't happen, but I do wonder sometimes if there's an argument for putting him at right back for the same reasons that he's, and I know left back and right back obviously slightly different positions, but the same reasons he's done well at left back, where City actually have a specialist in Aït-Nouri. Could he come and do the same thing on the right?
Possibly.
Maybe. Maybe.
Possibly. I've heard worse ideas.
Worse ideas, yeah.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's never happened, has it? But
no.
Don't know, maybe. I mean, it felt like Kusanov was starting to nail down that position before his injury, but yeah, it could be an option.
Because Núñez obviously scored one and made one on Saturday, but still doesn't convince as a...
No, we didn't do enough to stop the cross. I don't think the defensive nous is really there that you want from a right back. I think he's just a bit too defensively... Not weak as in strength-wise, but just defensively weak as in switches off and not really aware of what he needs to be doing as a defensive right-back.
Considering O'Reilly is... I mean, Núñez is a central midfielder. O'Reilly is more of an attack-minded midfielder than Núñez was. And yet O'Reilly seems to have managed to adapt his game in a way that Núñez either can't or hasn't yet. There's not a ringing endorsement. None of this is a ringing endorsement on Núñez because he's moved from midfield to a position that he's never played before. But O'Reilly seems to make it work, and Núñez and to a lesser extent Rico Lewis haven't.
Certainly Núñez, I don't think has ever made it work. I think there's a few people who think he's got, within the fan base, who think he's got potential as a right back. I don't really see it. I mean, it feels to me like he's kind of clinging on to a City career.
Perhaps seems to mention his physicality a little bit.
Yeah, well, obviously there was that damning quote after United last year when he said something about like he just hasn't got the physicality to play in midfield. I don't think he's got the quality to play right back long term. So, yeah, I think he's kind of clinging on a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, it surprised me Rico Lewis didn't start, actually. Given
that
City were going to have the ball. I mean, they barely gave the ball away in the first, before the goal, did they? They sort of went 1-0 up.
No, they didn't. I mean, I try and work out
possession or
like
something.
What games he goes for Lewis and Núñez in, and I think there's an argument you go for Núñez when it's going to be a bit more physical, like Arsenal away, and you could argue Burnley's like that, but I think it's more likely to be like Wolves on the opening day where they've got loads of possession and you want a fullback going in. I mean, maybe with O'Reilly going into midfield, he thinks there's no...
Yeah, I don't
if you have Lewis in there, it's almost going to get overcrowded. I don't know. But yeah, the patterns of what games they start aren't always easy to spot.
Doku, who we've talked about a lot in this podcast, but it does feel like it's clicked. I know it's a smallish sample size, but the consistency has been there, certainly in the last few weeks where City have sort of found their rhythm again. But arguably all season he's been reasonably consistent, and there is that end product now. His stats are right up there, aren't they? Goals and assists.
Yeah, they are. I mean, he's been brilliant since he came back from international break. I mean, it's quite funny that he went with Belgium and said he's not started the season very well and wants to work on goals and assists. And since then, I mean, it's just got to be the best 2 weeks of his City career.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. He has been fantastic and is adding that end product now. Again, on Saturday, it was the most successful dribbles in a game, I think, or in the game. But he's just putting an end product to it, isn't he? When he puts an end product to it, there's the potential of a really, really good player there. And it's going to help City's attack, because last year, it did feel like if you stopped Haaland, you stopped City. But now, when Doku's doing that, you've got to kind of double up and triple up on him, which they were doing. And it's not the case now where, I think it was the Liverpool game when he had Alexander-Arnold on toast. I can't remember if it was last season before, but didn't really do anything with the toast, so to speak. Not sure if that metaphor's right or not. But it was dry toast. He had him on toast, but he didn't put anything on it. But now he is like destroying fullbacks.
He's found his marmalade.
He's found his marmalade, yeah. Oh, Nutella. Got to be Nutella.
Oh, no.
He's found his, whatever your topping of choice is. And he's really like making a difference. The decision making of like when to pick a pass and just the quality of the cross or the shot. Like he looks a totally different player. And I think potentially a huge asset for City if he keeps this up.
Yeah, and it as you say, it draws a defender over or an extra defender over and creates space elsewhere. And if you've got Phil Foden in those little spaces and pockets, he looks bang at it again since the international break. That's allowing Foden to sort of shine again as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And that's kind of what we say, isn't it? The more threats you've got there, the more spread out a defence has got and the more room players have got to work in. And suddenly, if you've got Doku doing what he's doing, you've got Haaland in the middle, it's inevitable Foden's going to have more space or even more of the opposition's midfield are going to be pulled back to help out. And it does kind of feel like this attack is getting onto something. We've spoken a lot this year about goals and where do they come from aside from Haaland. Obviously, he got 2 again at the weekend and just looks imperious at the moment.
Yeah.
But adding these extra dynamics and having players like Foden and Doku who seem to be on top of their game at the moment. For both, it's only happened since the international break. So that is 5 games or 4 games. Like we need to see more of it. But I think the signs are hugely encouraging for them.
Yeah, and for Doku as well to perform so well at Arsenal as well in a difficult. It's not a Doku game that where City were penned in, didn't offer too much going forwards, and yet he did offer what he could in that context. It's not just. I think when we said about the international break and he'd torn it up for Belgium against Kazakhstan,
I think it was. Yeah,
who obviously are not anywhere close to being an elite level national team. No. Whereas at Arsenal, he's doing it against arguably the best defence in Europe.
Yeah,
on what was a difficult afternoon for his team.
Yeah, and he was a real threat because he carried the ball well in that game. Like he carried our defence at times and he got City up the pitch. He created the chance for Haaland in the second half, which if that goes in, City win that game if Haaland puts them 2-0 up. And he created it with a brilliant dribble and then a really good pass. That's like a good kind of moment of what we're talking about here. The dribble was great, but we know Doku can do that. Yeah. But he dribbled, got his head up on the wing, and then played this great through ball to Haaland. And I think that's what we're seeing more of now that he's combining the two. And yeah, he was, I thought he was probably City's best attacking outlet in that Arsenal game and made a lot of the right decisions and just takes the pressure off in those games as well when he can carry the ball like he is doing. Yeah,
absolutely. And still feels like City are a bit behind an Arsenal and a Liverpool. I know Liverpool obviously lost at the weekend. Arsenal nearly lost. And there was one point where City and Arsenal were going to be on the same amount of points if Arsenal had lost that game. But still feels like they need to take another step if they're going to sort of try and compete and turn what everybody I think assumes is going to be a 2-horse title race into a 3-horse title race.
I don't know. I'm not sure they'll be that far away. It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, Liverpool's start is so hard to analyse.
Yeah.
It felt kind of inevitable they were going to get beaten this weekend because it just couldn't keep happening the way it was happening. Arsenal, I said before on this podcast, I just got doubts that they can do it because of the way they play. I don't think he throws the shackles off anywhere near enough. Big win for them at the weekend,
and they've played some difficult games, I think, Arsenal as well.
I think they've had a tough start, I think, haven't they? I don't know. I think they've got every chance of turning it into a 3-horse race. I think we probably still need to see a bit more consistency, don't we? It's, like Pep said last week, it's only the Brighton game where everyone was saying we were finished again and, we collapsed for 15 minutes. So probably shouldn't get too carried away, but the quality of performances, I think, have been pretty good. And the threat they're carrying forward suggests there's every chance of turning it into a 3-horse race. And I still think, like I say, there's question marks over Liverpool and Arsenal.
Yeah, and the fixtures, I think, looking certainly over the next 3 or 4 into October, there are winnable games there for City. Obviously, Brentford away. I know they beat United, but who doesn't beat United? Yeah. Then Everton after the international break. And is it Villa? I can't remember now.
Further forward.
But it does feel like there's an opportunity to get into a stride. If they beat Monaco and go 2 for 2 in the Champions League, they got Villarreal. I think they've got 2 home games after that. I know Villarreal's away, isn't it? Then 2 home games, but it would be certainly be advantageous to try and get those Champions League points done and dusted early. But it does feel like there's an opportunity to build a bit of momentum. They've got a winnable Carabao Cup game at Swansea in there as well that would put them into the quarterfinals of that, and that feels like a competition that they can go out and, I don't want to say target because they will have bigger targets, but that feels like a very winnable competition to kind of just get things going again and get a trophy in the cabinet and perhaps try and kick on from there.
Yeah, I think even just going through this 7-game spell between September and October international breaks unbeaten will be massive because, like you just said, after that Brighton game in the first 3 games of the season, that September international break was full of inquests, really. And where do we go from here? And I think, we did a podcast like, how do we fix things? And obviously Pep listened. And to go, there's those 7 games unbeaten when you've had United in there, when you've had Arsenal away in there, when you've had 2 Champions League games in there. And obviously, Monaco away and Brentford away aren't gimmies. They're going to be tricky games. But I think a City at their best, the City of last season wouldn't win both of them. A City at their best would win both of them. So maybe it's going to be a good guide. And if you go through those 7 games, if you go through with 6 wins and a draw, then I think that is a pretty spectacular return given where they were in September, at the start of September.
Yeah, obviously Monaco, I think they got battered in their opening Champions League game I want to say by Bruges, but don't hold me to that. But they lost 4-1 anyway. I remember them losing
Bruges.
heavily.
Yeah.
I think they started the French season okay towards the top of that table. But how does this is this health 11, strongest 11? If we need to play the same team 3 times in a week again to get the job done, we do it? Or does this Champions League offer the opportunity for a couple of changes, given I think it is 7 games in 22 days, maybe something like that got to rotate a little bit?
I still think it'll be strongest team, to be honest. I don't think he's going to want to take any risks early in the Champions League and put them on the back foot. He spoke a lot for the Napoli game about how they drew the first game last year and kind of lost a bit of momentum and were on the back foot. So I think it'll be strongest team. Obviously, the recovery period is much bigger than the Thursday-Sunday. Well, it's only a day bigger, but it's bigger than the Thursday-Sunday between Napoli and Arsenal. And that day makes a lot of difference. It's also Brentford away rather than Arsenal away. It's not going to be quite as big a test. So, I think it'll still be a strong team. And then after that, you've got the international break when, players might go away, but the intensity of international games isn't a match for the Premier League. I think it'll be a strong team and try and get 2 for 2 in the Champions League and keep the momentum going, but also put themselves in a much stronger position in Europe than they were in the autumn last year when they really found themselves on the back foot.
Yeah, and also I think if you got to, I don't know what it was last season, maybe 15, 16 points got you where you needed 15, to be in terms of not having to play in the playoff round. Obviously, I can't remember how many points City got. It wasn't many.
No.
10 or 11, was it, if that?
I can't remember.
But obviously 2-3 wins from 2 or 3 games, that then just opens up a lot of possibilities in terms of managing the squad. If you do pick up injuries, taking that pressure off the Champions League into December and January when it's hectic enough.
Yeah, and you've got that Bodo game in January. I'm sure Guardiola would love to have top 8 assured by then, so that he can send a lot of fringe players there, maybe a lot of kids there, and just rest some of the big hitters, because obviously that is a long trip, a pretty unpleasant trip. So I'm sure he's probably looking at maybe getting 6 for 6 and get qualification assured. I think there's more benefits now to finishing in the top 4, isn't there? I think it guarantees you at home, second leg all the way to the final. I think he'll go strong in the Champions League to try and build up that wins and build a buffer and maybe try and get to a position where Bodo away, you can just say to, Haaland and Rodri maybe and Foden, whoever else, take the night off.
Yeah, you've not done yourself any favours for the Norwegian tourism board there with your...
Do you know, when I mentioned Haaland, I thought, it's in Norway, it's probably not going to go down very well. But I can't imagine, Guardiola will be swung by that if they're...
No, you're not picking Haaland. You described it as an unpleasant trip. And
I've heard it's a beautiful place, but I can't imagine it's a great trip in January, is it? And it's a pretty long trip, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Certainly for us it is, anyway, judging by the horror stories of flights. I'm sure for City it'll be a little bit easier, but still not a great one.
yeah, we should wish Cy well, really, in his trip to Monaco. I'm sure he'll be putting it all on black.
Yeah. See if he makes it back with any clothes. Tune into the podcast on Friday to see that.
Well, he'll have his top and tails, won't he, for a bit of casino action? He's always smartly dressed on this podcast.
He is. I believe he's not actually staying in Monaco to give away a state secret, but I don't know, unless he's just going to spend the night in a casino. Could be.
Yeah, well, it's an option for him.
It's an option. We've all been there.
And we should just mention Nico O'Reilly's contract as well, because I said we were going to. Again, a show of faith in him as a player, as a person, and as a kind of shining light of the academy as well. Because I think since Cole Palmer left, and there has been a bit of a vacancy for Lewis. Is probably the only one really in the last 2 or 3 years who's gone from an academy that wins a lot of games and a lot of matches to actually consistently being in the first team. So I still think maybe more so at City than some of the Premier League clubs, but still important to have that link to a Manchester lad from the academy. He's been there since 8, I think.
Yeah,
into the team.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that is what you want. You want to keep those academy guys around. We spoke loads on this podcast over the years about the rights and wrongs of kind of selling academy players, and obviously it's a great business model for City.
Yeah,
there's plenty that have gone. And Cole Palmer's the obvious one that maybe you'd have wanted to stay, but they see this pathway through Foden, obviously, Lewis and O'Reilly now that's there. It was a really big night for the academy at Huddersfield. You know, lots of people in the club are really proud of that 6 academy starters, 2 more coming off the bench. O'Reilly actually walked out of the stadium with Divine Mikasa on Saturday and like had his arm around him and stuff. And you know, I did ask him about being. I couldn't think of the right word, so I just had to call him a fatherly figure in the academy, even though he's 20. But you know, that is what you want, and that having Foden, Lewis, O'Reilly in matchday squads is an inspiration to Mikasa and the Heskey lads now. So yeah, I think it's hugely important that you have those players there who are making it, that can show you, like, look, the pathway. Although we sell plenty of academy players, there is a pathway there as well if you're good enough.
Yeah, absolutely, and probably expect to see Mikasa involved in the Champions League. I would imagine in that
squad
on Wednesday night. And as per usual, we'll bring you all the build-up, all the preview analysis will be with Pep Guardiola on Tuesday for his press conference. I think there's open training, which you'll be attending. I was going to say you'll be at, but that would imply you were in it, but you're just going to be at open training.
Might make up the numbers.
Might get the call.
You never know. I'll take my boots just in case.
And as obviously the match coverage will be full analysis and all the usual things that you'd expect from our City coverage at the MEN. So stay with us for that. As ever, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we will see you again later in the week.